Now it's time for our weekly energy update with Dan McTeague, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy.
Thank you very much for that, Julie. Of course, we are now well into the first days of May. Warmer weather tends to be the days in which we can start to see more people getting out, enjoying not just that extra walk, but maybe that drive to places that they normally don't do during the colder months. And Julie, that's why I think we normally see prices move up at this time, but we saw a big pause, a big halt. The price of energy came to a screeching end earlier this week when the U.S. Fed Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said no to any decrease in interest rates and yes to a likelihood that these restrictive policies are going to continue much longer. That had energy markets in a complete panic. And it wasn't enough that maybe there could be some hostilities ongoing in the Middle East, or that demand continues to be very strong that prevented oil traders from cashing in their positions. We saw oil drop about $4, $5 a barrel, hit 86.5 about a week and a half ago, now down to $78, $79 a barrel and struggling to stay there. It looks like fundamentals are no longer really taken seriously by energy markets in general. And although we have conflicting signals, one week we have a draw in oil, next week we have a massive rush in oil. The United States Department of Energy has to point out that the United States import a lot more oil, and that's why the oil inventory this week looked much stronger. In other words, that we had a pretty significant build of about 7 million barrels. What that's really meant is right across Canada, because all of our prices in Canada are based on world market prices in the United States. And so what happens there affects us immediately. There's no jiggery pokery about this. That's how it's done. Last week, Vancouver hit $2.20 a liter, now down, towards 204.9 come Saturday. Could even drop another 2 cents a liter back to $2 a liter some point midweek next week. For the rest of British Columbia, very comfortable in the high 160s, low 170s. That would place places like St. George and Kelowna, Kamloops, etc. If we go further north, of course, into Fort St. John, of course, that is always an area where prices tend to be very sticky. So they could stay around for another 2 weeks before they begin to drop as well. For Alberta, look for prices to remain range bound between, $1.43 to $1.47, down about 2 cents net. And of course, for Saskatchewan, you should be down about 3 cents a liter to 153 at the top end, down to about 150 at the low end. Manitoba remaining at $1.39, some places as low as $1.36. Story for Ontario. Of course, we've seen prices move up a week and a half ago with the switch from winter to summer blends, $1.79, now barely struggling at about $1.65. We're really back to winter blend pricing as far as gasoline is concerned. I expect that price will continue to fall a couple of pennies next week, so down to 163.9. For Quebec, of course, it's always 9 cents, 10 cents, a little bit more expensive on the strength of their taxes. So generally speaking, they can look between $1.77 now, going down to about $1.74 by this time next week. And for the Maritimes, which all saw a slight decrease in gasoline, Newfoundland, a very small half penny, the Nova Scotia down 3.3 cents, New Brunswick down 2 cents, and if you look at PI down about a penny and a half. Look for next week, those drop about 4.5 cents a liter as the regulated markets play catch up with the rest of the country, since they tend to hold off price changes and they average those out. What this really means is that unexpectedly, as we head towards warmer weather, we're seeing a decline in prices, but not a decline in demand. And that's where next 3 weeks will be set up for summer blends of gasoline. We also know that May 2-4 weekend sees a spurt, a rather significant increase in demand in the United States. The following week, 27th of May, the unofficial kickoff of their summer driving season. That should be enough to lend about 10 cents support to the price of gasoline between now and then. So in other words, by the end of the month, we'll be paying net across the board an additional 10 cents to what we're paying today. Small note, April's numbers on inflation which will be revealed, I guess, next week, May 15th, May 17th, are going to show that gasoline prices in April 2024 versus April 2023 were about 15 to 16 cents a liter higher. I'm pretty sure that that's going to have to cause our central bank to look very carefully at inflation And of course, as we've always said here at Canadians for Affordable Energy, energy prices matter, and they matter deeply for the economy and for things like interest rates. That's it for this week, Julie. Best thing is hold up until the end of the week, gas up later on, and you'll save a few pennies.